If you wait until you need a job to start showing up on LinkedIn, and then it's going to be a really long process. So the best time to join and start LinkedIn and start working on LinkedIn is actually now. Hello and welcome to the Career Success Coach podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Macris, and today we're going to be talking about 5 mistakes that I see people make on LinkedIn. And I'll be giving you some strategies to ensure that you don't make those mistakes. So first of all, LinkedIn. It's a fabulous tool, a fabulous channel. I've spent many years on it and I really enjoy it. It's a great place to build your brand. It's a great place to expand your network and connect with people that are in your industry or people that you might like to get to know. Something I always do is when I read someone's book, I really love it, I always send them a LinkedIn note. And it's a great way to just have a bit of a personal connection. And I love it when people send me connection requests with a bit of a personal note as well. So it's a really great place to expand your network, build your brand, and demonstrate your expertise so that you can position yourself for future opportunities. LinkedIn has around 800 million people signed up to it. And obviously not as many as 800 million are actually on there every day. But there is a lot of opportunity there to be connecting. So one of the reasons why I think LinkedIn is so important is because it becomes your online presence. And an online presence is another thing that's really important for you as you build your profile. And because if you don't have an online profile and you don't have any way of sort of finding out a bit more about you, then sometimes people find that they don't trust people who don't have a profile. So if I Google your name tomorrow, someone's name tomorrow, and I don't find anything online about them, then I'm going to think, oh, this is a bit unusual. So there's that know, like, trust factor, which is important in terms of why you should build a profile online. And the best way to build your profile online, and the easiest sort of step one, is to have a good LinkedIn profile. When you often, meet somebody new, or you might be starting in a new job, or even dating somebody, or anything where you are meeting somebody for the first time, most people will Google that person's name. Some people go straight to LinkedIn. But just say you've just Googled somebody, the first thing that's going to come up is your LinkedIn profile. So it's important to get that right. So let's jump into these mistakes that I see people make. So number 1, thinking that LinkedIn is something just for when you need a job. And this is probably the worst mistake of them all, because if you wait until you need a job to start showing up on LinkedIn, and then it's going to be a really long process. So the best time to join and start LinkedIn and start working on LinkedIn is actually now, right now. Even if you're comfortable and you love your job, now's the time, because it takes a while to get traction. It takes a while to, establish yourself on the platform, get to know it and build your network from there. And when you're in a role, you're connecting and meeting with people all the time. So as you're connecting with those people in real life, you can be connecting with them online as well. And unfortunately, I've actually seen a lot of people who have neglected their LinkedIn profile and have found themselves in that situation where they're literally starting from scratch. So start now. That's the message. And the other thing I would say about that is that people on LinkedIn, some people do find jobs on there. In fact, it's a huge place to find jobs. But it's not just from the traditional way of doing jobs, finding jobs. It's from building the networks and keeping in contact with these people that they actually do find jobs. So yes, there's a great sort of formal network search and job search on LinkedIn. And you absolutely should be there if you are looking for a role. It's definitely not only for job search, and especially in today's day and age, where it's considered just part of what you do. So every time you go for a job or you look for a role, you will be asked for your LinkedIn profile. In fact, recently I've even heard of people being asked for their LinkedIn profile even when they were applying for a job internally within their organisation. You've got to get it right. It's really, really important. That's the first mistake. Second mistake is not having an optimised profile. An optimized profile, what is that? Well, first of all, it's about having all of the sections filled on your profile page. A great photo, a photo that is current, that has you can actually see your face, and you've got a great header, you've got a fantastic headline that explains what you do, and you have up-to-date about section, your career development section's complete, and you've got more than 500 500 connections. So it looks like you're actually there. You're actually somebody who is relevant and employable, and everything is current and up to date. So if I reached out to you right now, I know that is you, and that is not sort of from 3 years ago. So that's another one, profile optimization. And I run a course called the LinkedIn Profile Booster, and I've got a checklist at the bottom of the show notes where you can download a little checklist that just goes through like all the things that you need to do. So grab that. And number 3 is that not creating content. Contenting can be really scary initially when you first start. I know when I first started creating content on LinkedIn, it was sort of like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? No one's going to see this. And if they do see it, oh my gosh, maybe that's even worse. So it can be a scary sort of daunting thought to start creating content. But if you can get into the habit of sharing some content of your own that you've made, that can make a really big impact to people for people to understand the value that you bring, and also to be able to have people reach out to you and build your network. So not creating content is another mistake that I see. And that's because out of 800 million odd people who are on LinkedIn, only 1 to 2% actually create their own content. That is not a share, sharing an article. It's not, and although sharing an article is okay if you've given your own view of the world and view of what you think of that article. So maybe, here's my key insights. So that's fine. Creating content could look like you giving an update on a speech you just did, and you've done some dot points on, here you go, here's, these are the 3 things that I covered at this speech I did, this conference I went to, or I heard this speaker talk, and here's what I took away from that. It could be, this is a question I get all the time. What does a great LinkedIn profile look like? Here you go. Anything that helps the audience and they can get value out of. So your audience, which might be your key target market, which is your industry, the industry that you work in. And so thinking about, how can you add value to your audience? And the reason I say it's a mistake not to be doing content is it's a missed opportunity. It's a missed opportunity to build your profile and fast track your career, really, because you are, the more you can show up, demonstrate your expertise, the more people that understand the value that you bring, the more advocates you've got, people recommending you. Go out there and create some content, and feel free to tag me in it. I love it when people tag me in their content, because I know that they've listened to something I've said, and I love to read it. So yeah, definitely tag me in it. So the other mistake, we've gone through thinking that it's a place to just find a job and that you don't really need to do it. We've gone through not creating content, and we've had a look at not optimizing your profile. So they're the 3 ones. The other 2, I would say, is not connecting with people. So not actually, you get 100 odd connection requests a week. So who are the people that you want to be connecting with in your industry? It's not Facebook. You don't have to know them personally. You can actually say, okay, I've just seen this person. He's just taken on this new massive role in this other company. I'm going to reach out and connect. And it just needs to be a short note. You want to aim for over 500 connections. That is definitely sort of a credible benchmark. And after that, it doesn't matter. But getting into the habit of connecting with people and building those connections and building those relationships will really help you to move forward. And that's another mistake that I do see for people is that they're just not sort of actively using LinkedIn to actually build their network. The final one is about not being social. Now, LinkedIn is a social platform. The whole idea is that you get social. And for some people, social is creating content, arranging meetings, jumping on a live LinkedIn. But for some people, it can just be commenting on other people's posts, particularly people who have influence in the industry. So say you're in banking and you have there's some real thought leaders in that space, or maybe it's the CEO of one of the big banks, and they've put a post out. So commenting on that post can be really great for you because other people will see you comment on that and are more likely to connect with you. I know that a lot of people don't like to comment and they don't like to even like things. And I think it relates to, from the conversations I have, it relates a lot to people feeling that because it's a professional platform, that if you write a comment and it doesn't sound like hugely intellectual or profound, then you're going to be judged. And that's just not the case. So get into the habit of writing something and look at what other people are writing if you need some inspiration. But pop something in there. Don't feel that it has to be an amazing comment. It's more important that you're social. And the people that write those posts, that influential person that wrote that post is looking at your comment and thinking, fantastic. Who's that person? Look, now they know your name. They've probably responded to you. So you're starting to build your credibility. So next time you see a post, make sure that you comment. And it also comes up in your activity stream. Number 5. So we've got the profile optimization, not thinking about the LinkedIn as a job hunt, and that you only have to get on it then. No, creating content and not being social. And they're the 5 sort of things I see. And why I think LinkedIn's really important to get right is because a lot of the time, as I said in my opening, was that people are expecting you to have a good LinkedIn profile. You're expected to have an online presence, and this is the quickest and easiest way to do that. So make sure your profile is fully optimized. Make sure you start using LinkedIn for all the fabulousness that it has, which is building connections, building your brand, and just get out there and start creating some content. And also start thinking about how you can shift your mindset around what LinkedIn actually could be. So one of the little tips I'll leave you with is that I often speak to recruiters who will tell me that they will do searches on LinkedIn. So they'll be looking for, a particular type of person that could fit a particular type of role. And they will do a search and say, okay, who's been active on LinkedIn in the last 30 days? So that's just another reason to get yourself out there and start giving LinkedIn a bit of attention and putting a bit more sort of effort into, say, creating content or engaging in other people's content. And I also mentioned earlier that there is a checklist at the bottom of the show notes, which you can download and go through the checklist. It's just to check that your profile is fully optimized. I hope you've got some value from this episode, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.